This video is intended to be an in-depth description of an exotic light blade talisman variant named Harmony. I will start with the main engine right here, which is clear quartz with black tourmaline in it, which technically is called tourmalated quartz, which makes a fantastic neutral programmable main engine for the device with black tourmaline in the matrix to provide a very purifying, transmuting energy through the main engine that of course will govern the rest of the device's capacities. I will start with the main blade bands. Right here, set on silver, is hematite, smoky quartz, and an ignition sequence which goes into this part right here, which is the same wire of silver going down the hand bands to run the same exact transmutation sequence of hematite and smoky quartz going here to the brass, which runs the same exact sequence of transmutation and a closed loop circuit up to here. The main blade band itself is blue lace agate and faceted clear quartz to stabilize the fifth for impeccable, harmonious communication. On the front side of the blade right here is Orlite 23, also known as Stone of Miracles and Canadian Amethyst. It is an exotic variant of amethyst that only comes from one mine on the US-Canadian border near Montana, and is a very, very prized, metaphysically powerful stone for having the composition of 23 different elements, all within a matrix of an amethyst cluster, and is technically the oldest true crystal in existence at apparently 1.1 billion years through carbon dating. Beneath that right here is a tiger's eye that has brass and silver for the yang and the yin, projective, receptive, balanced energy spheres. And above that is the legendary Multivite. Of course, it has a lot of hype right now, and it's not unwarranted. It's a very powerful cosmic attunement stone through a green tektite that is a very powerful, intensive green ray octave cosmic heart generator. Hence, it has a little bit of notoriety and a little bit of infamy from its volatile nature of changing one's life to a highest configuration in a rather traumatic way. But obviously the design of the Lightblade construct is to get the most out of this intensive cosmic change device, while, of course, having the right buffers, grounders, and diffusers and stabilizers to get the most out of it without too much volatility involved, through great straining R&D. And above that right there, speaking of stabilizer, is moss green agate, which is a water elemental stone that stabilizes the fourth and first chakras in a very nice way to confer the etheric blueprints manifestation of the idyllic physical avatar. On the back side here is green kyanite, which is a fantastic synergistic bridge of green ray energy into the heart chakra as well as to others as well. Because obviously the intention of this device is to make a harmonization frequency that bridges and bypasses any kind of etheric blocks between two candidates. And of course, speaking of that same vein of thought, is a rose quartz right here that of course is very famous for being the quintessential pink ray love frequency generator. And above that guy right there is seraphinite. Seraphinite is very famous from Russia for being a very powerful imbuer of archangelic seraphic energy through the cellular level for the ultimate healing stone of our time, as many intuitives have claimed. And underneath all this right here is, get the focus right, selenite on both sides. Of course, selenite will run a very powerful purification algorithm through the entire energy body that has a way of disbanding any stagnant energies throughout the entire structure. As well as one of the benefits too, by mounting that to an apparatus, is that it will amplify, purify, and harmonize an entire algorithm of set stones together to make a much more clean, higher vibratory resonance. And on top of that selenite right here is black kyanite, which is fantastic for bridging any kind of meridian gaps into the earth plane for constant bridging of energy into the earth sphere, as well as orange kyanite right here. Of course, all the kyanites make very rapid bridges of energy internally, externally, and through the earth sphere and to above. So they're a very fantastic synergistic combination of stones to use for any construct as well. But of course, orange kyanite focuses on the sacral chakra very strongly and never maintains loses its vibratory charge through stagnant energy imprintation. All kyanites have this, in fact, in common, which makes them a very essential metaphysical stone, highly underrated in my opinion. And of course, blue kyanite is very good for stitching past neuropathway deficiencies as well as any kind of neuropathway blockage, particularly when it comes to siddhis or psychic gifts. It's very good for enhancing the latent capacities of a candidate's latent soul reservoir towards the conscious self. Okay, so moving on up, back here, this is technically the side that actually faces the heart because as green ray, kyanite, and the rose quartz do actually diffuse the current into the heart chakra much easier. That's where it's designed to do. This right here is Larimar, which is a famous stone, possibly referred to as the Stone of Atlantis, mentioned by Edgar C. Casey, only discovered in 1981 from Dominican Republic. It is born from volcanic activity on an island. So it heavily embodies the fire and water elements for a very dynamic balance of water and fire within the energy centers of the systems, as well as a very fantastic voice projection talisman in its own right. And right in here is black obsidian, locally sourced here from Mount Shasta area, from a place called Glass Mountain, which is a large exposure of obsidian on a mountain. Very fantastic. And right here is black tektite, another cosmic bearing stone. Of course, a tektite is an imprintation of energy from a meteorite impacting sand, making an obsidian. An obsidian, of course, right here also, is volcanic glass from high heat melting sand in a certain format to have a silicone manifestation. Same thing with this black tektite, except it carries a cosmic frequency imprintation from the jolt of an extraterrestrial meteorite hitting sand. And tucked above this guy right here is something called ruby and zoisite, very fantastic South African stone that combines, obviously, ruby, famous throughout time and antiquity for the red ray potentiality, have a very strong corundum, titanium-based red ray focus, which of course is a 9 out of 10 hardness on the Thomas More scale, which makes it has a very strong atomical rate of its dispersion of the red ray. Let's see. Over here is, of course, red jasper, very underrated, very stabilizing the root, as well as the sacral, and was actually utilized by ancient Egyptians for the infants to wear red jasper on the wrists to stabilize their development into their physical avatars upon birth. This right here is fire agate, a wonderful agate that stabilizes the first, second, and third chakras through a fire elemental spectrum. So very much a stone of enthusiasm and very much the in-the-body experience stone. This right here is something called scolecite. It's a wonderful white ray stone that produces a very nice natural oasis of calm sensation through linkage of high crown soul star white divinity ray. And where are we going now? And right here, this top section of this talisman, the very apex, is a combination running on silver for the receptive aspects of cerebral stimulation, is tanzanite, a wonderful stone from the same locality as the ruby and zoisite that is very, very, very fantastic for linking the heart-mind connection. So obviously this stone right here will link the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th chakras for speaking from the heart, as well as all of the brilliance of mind can conjecture into one streamed format. And above that, to emphasize the 5th ray focus of this device, is blue sapphire. Obviously, another stone of antiquity was used by matriarchs and patriarchs of the ruling classes to convey impeccability of the voice and to have wisdom in any situation. Because of its high, dense rate of being a corundum as well, has usually obvious like a close to 8.5 to 9 out of 10 on the Thomas More hardness scale, which means its blue ray atomical rate is very dense and very powerful. And right here is more faceted clear quartz, running the sequence to be a subcapacitor to accelerate the frequency back into the main blade band itself. So all these different frequencies are adhered to a central primary wire of copper, brass, and silver to evenly diffuse the current through its subroutines to run a perfect vibratory trajectory to make a legitimate vibrational broadcaster. I believe that covers everything. I hope this video helps, and blessed be.